Hello everyone, tuning into today's video. It's JMA Friday today. We're going to be having a look at the weather next month with the Japanese and CFS V2 models from the United States. So this is going to take us into September. We're going to go through to the first week of next month with this particular update. Got hot weather coming up just briefly early next week. Monday, particularly Tuesday, could see temperatures getting quite hot. After that, we quickly break it down into showers on Wednesday, maybe thunder. And then turns a bit cooler and fresher over south, could hang on to quite warm conditions through much of the period. But this is going to extend beyond that. We're going to go through to the end of August, through bank holiday into start of September with this update. So hang around and see what could be around the corner. Before we get on with that though, just to say about the ads that Gaz Web Business, links to articles on the page, so browse widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. And thanks very much for doing that. There's video ads on most of the pages. They own content. When you watch them, they close back up again. It does all help to pay for our website. So thanks so much for getting involved. And thanks for doing that. We're going to start off with 500 millibar height anomalies from the JMA. And then we'll have a look at CFS V2 and see what that's showing. So we're going to start off with the first week period. These are broken down into weekly periods. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and yellow, orange, brighter colours, extrapolates to high pressure. So the first week will take us from the week that we just started, the 12th, through to the 19th of August. So we've got above average heights, which is high pressure, extending through the UK and then down to the east of us, with a trough of low pressure indicated by these blue colours in the Atlantic. And that means that the jet stream here is going like that, with the flow doing something like that. This places us on the warm side of the jet stream and starts to draw up warm southerly influences from off the continent. So the flow will push up out of the Med, out of Spain, out of France. And you're going to see a big increase in temperatures. Now later on in this period, the trough in the Atlantic will start to break the ridge down quite a bit. It'll turn increasingly unsettled, particularly to the north and west, with risk of thunder on Wednesday. We go through to week 2, which is going to take us from the 19th through to the 26th of August. What we find this is a very complicated chart, this. Lots of yellow to the north, that's high pressure, through Greenland, through into Scandinavia. Also above average heights to the south, which is the Azores High, bridging into Spain and France. Then this trough in the Atlantic to the west of us. Really complicated chart, but I think the overall message is probably turning increasingly unsettled with time as this trough moves towards us, and particularly to the northwest probably brings some outbreaks of rain. But for the south, I would suspect you get quite a lot of dry weather with this area of above average heights sitting to the south of us. It is a complicated chart though, so we'll have a look in a moment and see what the temperature and precipitation anomalies are doing with these pressure anomalies or height anomalies. And then we're going through to weeks 3 and weeks 4, which takes us from the 26th of August through to the 9th of September. We find the area of above average heights, which is high pressure, becoming increasingly centred around Greenland and Iceland, with a trough over Scandinavia and to the east of us and in the Atlantic. And I think the overall message is probably more unsettled here for the start of September. Atlantic flows, and maybe quite cool as well. The way that above average heights is going towards Greenland and Iceland means we could be pulling down quite chilly northerly influences, I would have thought, with a bit of a southerly tracking jet stream. So maybe a fairly coolish, slightly autumnal perhaps start to September. So let's have a look at the temperatures and precipitation anomalies that go with these height anomalies to see whether my interpretation is correct. We're going to start off again with week 1, which is the 12th through to 19th of August. British Isles is up here in the far top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. Now, what you need to know, of course, is that we've got the above average heights of high pressure over and to the east of us, with the low pressure, the trough in the Atlantic. And the flow is coming up from the south. You expect a warm week. And let's see whether temperatures are warm on average. Indeed, they are. We're in those yellow colours there. So a significantly warmer than average week. The scales on the bottom of the chart, so around 1 to 2 degrees above average for the coming week. A warm week. on the way. Precipitation anomalies generally coming out drier than average, although it's a bit wetter than average out to west, and that could be the thundery stuff that is breaking things down a bit as we go through into the middle part of next week. But overall, a fairly warm, dry week coming up. Week 2 was that very complicated pattern. We've got high pressure to the south, you can't see it, but there's also high pressure to the north, and then there's low pressure out to the west. The temperature anomaly is still above average, so a fairly warmish week there again from the 19th through the 26th of August. So not as warm as the first week, but still slightly above average temperatures there. And precipitation, it's going up. So on my interpretation, it's probably increasingly unsettled there, albeit with a very complicated pattern, was correct. The model indicating a bit of a wetter week coming up there for the latter stages of August. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, which is the 26th of August through to the 9th of September. And my interpretation of that one was just that it's generally a fairly unsettled couple of weeks. We've got high pressure up to the north, we've got low pressure out to the west, and also over here to the east of the country. So that means the temperature anomaly, it's still holding up, it's still doing all right with the temperatures into the start of September, a bit above average. Precipitation is wetter than average for most of us, although Scotland is a bit drier. So that does imply, no more than that, but it does imply there's a chance of a southerly tracking jet stream going on there, which means it's wetter to the south and drier up to the north. Quite unusual patterns there for the start of September. Well, let's have a look at CFS V2 and see whether that's in agreement. So again, we'll look at 500 millibar heights, which break down to week periods. Then have a look at corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies. So the first week period will take us from the 11th through to the 17th of August. And very straightforward what's going on here. Big area of above average heights over the UK, indicated by those red colours. And then we've got the trough out to the west of us, which means that the jet stream is going to the north, and then down to the south, something like that. Pretty warm, pretty dry week there coming up. And then we'll go through to week 2. And the week 2 anomaly looks like this, and it's very different. 18th through 24th of August, and it's different compared to what the JMA is doing as well. Much more unsettled, low pressure out to the west of us, and a ridge down to the south. Is in agreement in terms of all this northern blocking mode. Got high pressure to the north of Scandinavia, around Svalbard, and extending in towards Greenland as well. So actually the two models aren't a million miles away. It's just the CFS is a little bit deeper with this trough. It's a little bit more unsettled. But same idea, essentially lots of high pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, and then a trough in between. Probably increasingly unsettled, as we saw with the JMA through that second week. Week 3 looks like this. It's straightforwardly unsettled from the 25th through to 31st of August. So we've got a trough of low pressure very close to the UK. Ridge is out to the southwest, and we're just bringing the jet stream through the country like that. So that's just generally unsettled conditions to end August. And then into September, this going from the 1st through to the 7th of September. No real difference. Low pressure out to the north and west. A ridge a long way from us out to the southwest, and the jet stream coming through the country. So both models are in agreement here with the way forward. We get this warm, dry week for the coming week. Then the second week into latter stages of August turns increasingly unsettled, and then into September it looks like we're in quite an unsettled pattern, which is unusual for September. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies. So the coming week generally a little bit above average, although close to normal for Scotland. Week 2 temperature anomalies, they go cooler than average from the 18th to the 24th. But JMA has the temperatures holding up quite well there, but the CFS V2 cooler than average. Week 3, which is the 25th through to 31st of August, that one comes out cooler than average as well. And then week 4, it's a bit of a weaker signal, but into September generally still hinting at fairly cool temperatures. Precipitation, the coming week, generally drier than average away from the far north of Scotland where it's a bit wetter, but week 2 turns significantly wetter. That's all in agreement with the JMA. Week 3, the signal is fading now, as it always does for weeks 3 and 4. So just average precipitation, probably just that the model is losing the signal. I would have thought weeks 3 and 4 are likely to be wetter than average, especially to the north and the west, but the model itself is losing that signal. So that's what models are doing for this week's JMA Friday. The way forward is quite straightforward, actually, in terms of what models are doing, because they're both in agreement. The coming week, lots of warm, dry weather. We get a heat wave start of next week, then a bit cooler. Beyond that, increasingly unsettled through to the last stages of August, and those unsettled conditions carry us through into the start of September. Now, just because the models are in agreement doesn't necessarily mean that is the way things are going to progress. I think generally this summer, the models have been both cooler and wetter, both cooler and more unsettled than what has actually transpired. So they may be going over the top with this, as they have tended to do through the summer. It's turning into a very dry summer down in the south, and the models haven't really predicted that. So let's just wait and see how it pans out. As ever with long-range forecasts, it's experimental. It's pushing the envelope, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. So let's wait and see how things progress as we go through to the end of August into the start of September. I know for me, my garden could certainly do with some rain round about now, so I'll be actually quite pleased if this comes off. But let's just wait and see how it pans out. Right, that's JMA Friday done. There'll be no JMA Friday next week, as I'm having a few days away from Monday to Friday. There'll be no video updates. However, I will have some videos on the homepage. There's going to be a historic video, and there'll be another video that is going to be placed on the homepage that you'll be able to watch through the week next week. But there'll be no daily video update. So JMA Friday will return 2 weeks today. Tomorrow it's a weekend forecast, so come back for that. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.